action. Alrighty, welcome everybody to round 5. We've got Marvin the Imp versus bottledjinn. Let's tell the players that they are good to go, and then I'll get that hand cam fixed up.
Yeah, so Grand Suppressor, not Sling of the Tree, but probably one of the best cards against Overloader. Maybe Marvin the Imp was playing this a little bit as a meta call and getting paired against bottledjinn is kind of a greeting he was looking for.
Yeah,
But
potentially. Bottledjinn looking at a hand of Feln of 2 power, Savior of the Meek, Realign the Stars, Crafty Occultist, Condemn, and Strategize. So doesn't have the combo in hand, but other than that, pretty good setup.
yeah, you got stuff, some replacement effects, cantrips, things to do. So definitely keep. The old Grand Suppressor plus Hailstorm combo. So, due to having depleted power and not being able to play the Grand Suppressor, I wonder if we'll see the bottledjinn heads up emote in chat, Grenahan play to play around that. Oh, instead playing the Strategize, so we'll see how the strategy ends up paying off for bottledjinn. One thing I love about Warp, it's like you can already just plan your turn. You just know what's happening.
I like that because we're on the 5-minute delay when I start the who's gonna win. They're still on the chat's still on break, so it's like you get to know what the feature match is during the break.
Oh, I love the channel prediction thing. It's like, the channel currency doesn't necessarily matter the most, but I get so into the matches if I just put a little bit down on it of this fake thing,
Exactly,
I'll
just
give
a
it for
tiny,
free.
a tiny meaningless stake, but it's something. You're putting your name behind it for sure.
Exactly. So with the suppressor out, you see bottledjinn choosing instead going for either an end of turn condemn plus devour or realign the stars. I think we're probably going to see a block into a devour. You just
Yeah,
velocity up a little and kind of educate your future plays.
yeah, that seems pretty good.
Uh,
Suppressor looking pretty good against a hand of Grenahan and Crafty Occultist. I do find it funny that it took Bellax to help people realize how impactful Grand Suppressor was in the format. That like before Bellax, people weren't really playing Grand Suppressor, and then people started trying it out with Bellax and was like, actually, you know what? This is pretty good against Hen and Crafty and a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, some behind the scenes misplay stuff. So the ECQ, or they're not ECQs, the Open I ended up winning. Earlier that week before Bellax was announced, Kolokoma just swore that the best deck was going to be a deck that could play Grand Suppressor.
Yeah.
But then once everyone's planning for it because because Bellax came out, then we were just off of it, and then just full circle
Yeah.
back to playing the deck that doesn't want to see Suppressor.
Well, and Kolokoma says that. I mean, you got to listen.
Yeah, in Cola we trust. So.
Exactly. All right, so
So
drawing a
on
machinations and a
bottledjinn,
hardiness off of that. So
yeah.
we got some combo pieces there. Let's see if we can get that overloader. Now again, does
Well,
bottledjinn have it in the market? They do. That's
right.
right. They have the overloader in the market. I keep forgetting that.
Yep. Yeah, so a little different than the build that I've been playing on ladder at least, where they have access to 4 condemns and 2 smugglers, but the more important part is this really insulates you better against Rain of Frogs, which I've lost a lot to,
Okay.
and also insulates you against exploit, so you just kind of go for it as you're going off. And then you have Dark Return just in case one exploit happens, like by accident, and you played a smuggler.
Sure. No plays here. Bottlegin actually does have the painting in hand, so is going to have all the influence that they need.
Yeah, just trying to figure out the right configuration of the stars. That way they can win. So Marvin the Imp just trying to churn through their deck a little. Need to start applying a little bit more pressure directly to the forehead.
Yeah, Sling of the Chi there, the draw off the treasure trove. Now, how important is the actual Sling of the Chi in the matchup? You're not really killing units, although I guess you can take out all the 1/1 jump blockers so they can't get value out of it and keep the pressure on. But like next turn, are you just going for a rust? Is the question. Do you just want that pressure? It seems tough to take a turn off for Sling of the Chi.
Yeah, I gotta check Marvin's Market first to see if they have any interaction for the combo. Boom, boom, boom.
Rain of Frogs, that's it.
Oh, so with Rain, you might just Rain next turn.
Yeah. All right. Well,
But
if you get a chance, here comes Overloader
well,
here, plus this
yes,
hardiness.
so one like shortcut is that if you have five total power, Overloader um, plus hardiness is exactly enough for machinations.
Hmm.
And then if you're one short, you can replace it with a hardiness.
There you
So you
go.
don't actually have to do math if you like remember the shortcuts. So yeah, since you start with four power and not five power, but you have the second hardiness, you have enough to do it up with the
Yeah.
machinations.
Second hardiness is nice there for Bottle Gin. That's going to be able to do it for Machinations. Marvin the Imp just has the transpose, but that's not going to do anything as long as he can find an explosion, which he can. Explosion 42, 38. Double that damage a bunch of times. That's going to do 512 damage to Marvin the Imp, and Bottle Gin's going to take that one. You know, Marvin's hand didn't look bad. It seemed like they had a pretty decent hand. It seemed like Bottle Gin was able to kind of draw into those combo pieces off of that on that one turn off of that Devour, and then it kind of worked out pretty nicely that they were able to get that hardiness and go off a little early.
Yeah, the interesting part for me was Marvin's decision to turn a little bit through the deck instead of either developing the board or just going for transpose Rain of Frogs. So I'm curious what the thought process was there, but whatever plan Marvin had, it didn't involve the cards that were currently in their hand, and Baljan ultimately, like you said, was able to velocity into the cards to assemble a quick combo.
All right, well, they are ready for game two, so let's tell them that they are good to go. This does seem like a little bit of a tough matchup for Sling. It seems like they're some of the benefit, at least, of Sling is that you can take out units fairly easily, but your threats are also more expensive. So little tough for you to really pressure before Bottle Gin can get to turn 6 or potentially turn 7. And the interaction, Rain of Frogs is key, as you mentioned, but without that or a Bellax, it seems like it's a little bit slow. Thank you so much, Yellow Hands, for the raid. Really appreciate it. Welcome everyone from Yellow Hand Stream. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Yeah, so from Marvin's side, like one thing we found in testing for the Expedition Open was that just suppressor isn't enough. It's suppressor plus a sufficient amount of pressure. So the problem with Marvin's hand or game plan there was that they weren't able to both play suppressor and make the game short enough for it to matter. And then Bottle Gin just ended up being able to just form the combo with a semi-dead Grenahen and Crafty Occultist in their hand, just using the other elements of their deck to just churn through and find the combo. So you
Awkward for
kind of
Bottle Gin
are
here,
a
though.
combo
Yeah, they,
too.
they had to go to 6 here, and then their power is actually really awkward. If you look closely, it's 3 copies of Stone Scar's painting, and then strategize, hen, realign the stars. Stone Scar Vow also doesn't help with that problem. So literally can't cast a single thing in Bottle Gin's hand right now. Now, not hard to draw out of that, and once you do, you can usually find the other pieces, but still awkward start.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, and thankfully, that's one thing I really, really like over Eternal over Magic is that when you draw that influence, it opens up your whole hand, as opposed
Mhm.
to, if that was Magic and that card comes in tapped, you still can't play anything. So definitely prefer this power system for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how it kind of marries elements of Hearthstone and Magic to produce a an interesting baby.
For sure. So going to be able to play that Grenahen thanks to that depleted power, giving you that influence, making a decision here.
So from Marvin's side, they just want anything that allows them to develop. The best card
Okay.
being Suppressor. If you get a Suppressor, then you can play Suppressor and Bellax this
Yeah,
turn.
that would be good. Another
Um,
Bellax, not one of the last things you want at this point, probably, unless you can find a suppressor.
yeah, you can play the Hailstorm here. That way you get to turn off the Display of Menace and Devour. But just holding it for now.
Dark
Um,
Wisp with a draw for Bottle Gin. Now that that Primal's online, going to be able to filter through some things here. Machinations into Jotun Hurler.
yeah, so you can put back the Savior because the Hurler you can at least play, and then you still have a unit to discard to the Occultist, so it's all the same at the end.
Yep.
So then just thinking if you want to strategize or play the Wisp, since you don't have a sack outlet, strategize digs more efficiently, so makes sense to do that. And then Snowball isn't the best, neither is the Hurler, but you have this crafty occultist that you want to discard things to, so I could see pitching back the Snowball or the Hurler, but I'd probably Snowball. Yep, that's fine too. Oh wow, playing Jack too. I don't even know what that one does. Okay,
It's the
so
7/5 quick draw. When it attacks, you play a weapon on each attacking unit, and then increase
oh
the
wow.
ability. Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while. All right,
All right.
Crafty. Let's start with that. Draw some more cards. This is what I was talking about beforehand, though. I mean, this obviously isn't a great hand for Marvin, but this is a little bit of what I was talking about. Is that it's not the quickest deck without that kind of god curve of suppressor into Bellax. The damage doesn't really come super fast, and so Bottle Djinn, even on an awkward draw, can just kind of wait and set up and set up and set up, and doesn't really care if their units die too much. So yeah, you kind of that Rain of Frogs I think is the key.
Yeah, I really do feel for Marvin here though. Mulliganing down to 6 and just not being able to play your 5 drop until like turn 6 or 7 is not really what you signed up for.
For sure, agreed.
But
Credit for these
Bottledjinn
foil
still
legendary Sodi Wingbreakers. These look sweet. This is a really nice card. Well played, Marvin.
so Bottledjinn's still a little bit off. Just
Mhm.
missing the overloader component. I do think it's interesting
Yeah,
that
you're just gonna go for a value machinations
yep,
here. I like that.
yeah, I would have paid a little bit more, but that's fine. So one thing that's interesting is giving the giving the crafty cultists flying. Isn't that like bad against the Sodi spell shaper? I think it
It
kills
is.
flyers or something
It
like that.
does. It does. Yeah, damage to a flyer or a site. But yeah, it is actually worse against Sodi specifically. Does Bottlegin
Mhm.
know? I mean, I guess he has the open deck list,
It's
but
open deck list.
yeah.
Yeah, should always know. Um, yeah. So finally being able to deploy a threat here, so that's pretty cool. I think the Sodi's like onslaught, right, to kill
Yes.
flyers.
Yeah,
So
it's
you need to
onslaught.
do that first. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play this card quite a bit in my high five deck with a bunch of good 5 drops and
Oh
just play a
wow.
bunch of fives. Ross,
Did you do
Sodi.
it? So was it top down design? Like, did you start with the name High Five and then like add cards to it, or the other way around?
It was start with roast and play a bunch of other cards that go with it, and I needed some 5 drops, and then I was like, oh, all my sweet cards are fives, so not quite top down. But I'll tell you what, after you build it the first time, then it becomes top down, and you got to stay with the 5 drops. You can't adjust it at that point.
Way more creative deck building names than me. Mine is like if I haven't seen anyone else do it, I just put a WW in front. So it's like Watch Wolf Skycrag aggro is what Canada's playing. So
Nice.
all right, so we went to the market with a smuggler. So kind of opening ourselves up here to get transposed into Reina Frogs, but that happened to not happen. So
Yep.
quite a risk to be taking there, but knowing
True.
that
No protection for it.
maybe or not seeing a pause when you
True.
when Bottle Gent took a certain action.
Toenail78, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome, Toenail. Hopefully you're doing well. And there you go. You called it. Sodi's gonna take out that flying crafty occultist. That's not an
Shabam.
interaction. I don't think I've ever called that interaction before, but there you go. Sodi Spellshaker Onslaught taking down a flying crafty occultist. Ooh, condemn the draw there. That will be some interaction. So now Bottle Djinn is protected, but it might not matter. Here we go.
Oh
Overloader
yeah.
into Machinations with condemn backup. This is probably just
Yep.
match.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think what are your thoughts on taking the Aegis text off of Pirate Tech Explosion?
I don't think it would really change anything.
No, you don't think so? I don't think
Which means I guess they can do it, but like at some point you're changing the card for like fair decks or like what was originally intended to do.
it's
Like
true.
it, it can matter during like a subset of things, but you can just like can answer things or even Anya or whatever.